Hello everyone and welcome back to the Turf Doctor YouTube channel. On today's episode I'm going to be opening, unboxing and reviewing this cordless Makita grass trimmer or whippy snipper or weed whacker, some people might call it as well. I received this about a week ago. It's been something that I've been wanting to buy for quite a while. I think some of you might remember, if you go back through the previous videos, I bought some little hand shears to cut around the perimeter of our garden with. Got a bit tedious after time, and basically this was always going to be sort of the next step. Eventually I was going to buy a strimmer of some sort. Just going to run through a few things before we do get the box open. This particular strimmer, I'm not quite entirely sure what the exact name of it is at the moment, but I can get that up in a second. Was around £105 from Amazon. Prices do obviously fluctuate and some places do sell them a little bit cheaper as well, so that's just something to bear in mind. This is a body only, and what is meant by body only is it's just the strimmer, there's no battery included. So I'll talk about those reasons why I bought one without a battery later on. But this is one of the top sellers and actually fits some of the batteries that I've already got. So this is the reason why I picked this model. There is a different model, a 12-volt model. So just bear in mind when you are purchasing one of these trimmers that you do in fact get the correct one based on either the batteries you're going to buy or the batteries you already have, for example. So yeah, basically today we're going to take this out of the box. We're going to do the 2-in-1, so we'll review it at the same time. We'll go through what's in the box, hopefully something, because I ordered it and I actually haven't even opened it yet, and it's been probably well over a week actually. It's sort of been sitting in the living room ready to go, and now finally got time to sort of open the box. This is the outside of the box. It looks pretty well packaged, got all the usual stuff. Most Makita things tend to be pretty similar. If you've ever bought anything else from Makita, really simple, easy marketing. I'll tell you exactly what it is. You know, you don't even have to have words. Rotation, rotation, rotation. Your handle moves. They give you a really good sense of sort of what's going on. A few safety stickers, sort of handle care and all the usual stuff. We'll pop it open for the first time, and then what I'll do after that is I'll pop it on the floor, and I'll have the camera above so you can see exactly sort of what's in the box as well. But from initially opening it. Okay, so it is in there, which is the main thing. We have a strimmer, handle. We appear to have a handle. In here, it looks like we have a bit of a box of various goodies. What's in box? Bag. Nice to see that it's actually in a paper bag and fully recyclable as opposed to plastic bags. So that's always a good thing. We've got a couple of nuts and bolts in here, which I'm going to pop back in the bag for now. Bit of strimmer cord, which don't take that for granted, because the amount of strimmers that I've bought, petrol ones for example, at various jobs, that don't come with cord, and you have to go straight out and buy a spool of cord. I assume these bits, that look like a bolt which goes through the handle, that look like the nut that goes on the hand, and the nut that goes on the end. And this bit from the picture on the box looks like it's sort of a guard that went around the top of the cutting head. So we'll put that to one side for now. We have, I guess, this is a declaration of conformity, so that's just to making sure that it cooperates and is in line with all of the BSEN standards and stuff for Europe and etc. And then we've got an instructional manual, or the owner's manual. It's one of the most important things with any piece of kit that you can have, really, because it will tell you everything that you need to know before, after use. Anyway, what else have we got in the box? We've got a strap here, so this will go around our body. This will be, this will take the bulk of the weight off the machine. However, the box did feel pretty light, I will say. I'll get the exact weight and we'll pop them up on the screens as well. But this, will help anyone that may have, impairments or something, or you might just not be able to hold it for long enough, for example. So it could be a good aid to help you trim the lawn or the garden. We've got a guard here. Really important, needs to put in place. I've had rocks and bits and all sorts of stuff hit me in the face, hit me in the eyes. I've trimmed cat mess and that's come up at me as well. Not been nice. Guards help prevent that. Obviously PPE helps prevent that as well. It's got a little blade cutter on. It's got a bit of paper wrapped around it at the moment, or what looks like sort of, oh, I think it actually pops out, but there's a screw there. But I think that paper's just around it, just to obviously stop anyone cutting themselves on it. It's like a masking tape sort of tape. And that's there to actually cut the cord to keep it at a certain length, because you don't want it too long. One, because you'll burn out the motor, and secondly, it'll whack everything in yourself. So having it uniform helps the efficiency of the machine as well as the safety. And then behind here we've got the strimmer itself. So it's actually got cord in it already, which again, really impressed by. It does only appear to have one eyelet, so not that it has one missing, it just only has one, which most trimmers nowadays tend to have two, which is an interesting choice. So it'd be interesting to see if that makes much of a difference. Because me using a lot of professional stuff with two, I definitely can tell the difference, but that's usually on a case of one of the strimmer wires is broken, so I've only got one to use, whereas this actually only has one eyelet for one lot of strimmer wire. So yeah, so that's it out of the box. Got to say, it did feel a little bit of a flex there. There was a little bit of play in the end, but I don't know if that's just a locking mechanism, but we'll go through that in a second. Does feel pretty solid, feels like a drill, feels like, you know, the chop saws. It's the same sort of plastic, it feels really good. Little bit of a handle here to extend and shorten, I think. Could be wrong, we'll try that in a second. That's where the handle fits by the looks of it. We'll go through the instructions and then safety and the trigger. Battery goes up this end. So a sort of telltale sign for which model you've got as well. It depends where the battery goes, what I've noticed online. The ones with the newer batteries tend to go at the end or right at the back of the machine, and some of the older models that I've seen have the battery sort of in the middle of the machine. Now, I don't know if they got moved sort of weight distribution, because even holding this now, it feels quite bottom heavy, and the batteries are obviously, you know, a little bit of weight themselves, so I'd imagine they sort of bring it back this side a little bit. But all we'll do is we'll get it on the ground and we'll sort of have another look at it. So actually in the end, I chose not to put it on the ground yet, so thought it might just be a little bit easier to hold it up. So at the end here we've got a sort of a rotational head. What we can do is change the angle of the cut. There seems extremely flat, and I don't really know if anyone would use it at that angle. And to be honest, the last angle there, I know you can't see it on the floor right now, but when we go outside, I'm going to leave it at this setting. It feels like it's probably perfect, but also at the same time there is no further for it to go, so it's just I'd maybe be a little bit concerned about that if you're slightly taller, because you're going to be higher and further over the machine. So possibly, you know, might be. But then we've got this adjustment, as I say, we looked at earlier. Oh, it does extend. There we go. There's quite a bit of length on that actually compared. I'd actually say it's probably too long for me. You want it sort of comfortably on the floor. We're going to go for about there. About this sort of length. Okay, so what we're going to do is start building it now. We'll get this guard on, we'll put the handles on, and then through that process obviously we'll just have a bit of a chat about stuff, and as I'm seeing things for the first time as well, so I've not actually got this out of the box yet. And if I see anything that sort of stands out and say, actually I think we should, you know, mention that. Just a few things on the end. Having used strimmers before, again, first time taking this one particular one apart, is normally you squeeze in 2 points on the side of the head to get the cord out, and that seems to be exactly the case on here. Cord is set within the head itself, the cover itself, rather than in the head. Sometimes they're in there. You've got a little spring, don't lose that as well. Sometimes these need greasing, sometimes they don't. We'll have to read the instruction manual to know that information. But I can't see any obvious greasing points, so I'm going to actually say that these ones probably are sealed units and don't get greased. Maybe a spray of WD-40 on non-electrical parts. But as I mentioned before, there's your one eyelet, there's your one strimmer cord. It only has one, not on the other side. It came out relatively easy. I'd probably say the head actually feels the weakest plastic quality, and it's obviously the one you want, probably the strongest of quality. We've got some arrows on the head here as well, on which way the wire should be wound to then come out of the eyelet. Because when you tap it on the ground, you push this button in essentially, and what this does is unlocks this from the mechanism, pushes it in, and allows it to spin while the head's spinning. It's that centrifugal force. That word, but probably not pronounced like that. And will allow them more cord to come out, as long as you actually have some cord poking out the hole to start with. It only has to be a little bit, but it needs to be some for it to work properly. If the cord's actually gone inside and you bashing the top, it's just going to be coming out inside. So you need to take the head off and rewire it. But we'll do a whole different video on how to wire the strimmer head. In particular this one, there's various different models and ways, but this seems pretty generic, so we'll cover this one at some point as well in a separate video. But yeah, so let's get back to building this one. So we're going to start at the strimmer end itself. We've got the guard here, and what we're going to do is pop this on. I believe it goes this way. Yeah, there you go. Nice and easy. So the guard's protecting us from any debris, so it's always going to be facing us as well. There's a little screw hole on the bottom there. So what we're going to do now is get that screw out of the box from that bag that we had earlier on. We'll pull these bits out. There it is. So we got a Phillips head screw there. So I'll go and grab a screwdriver so now I'll put that in, and possibly a spanner for the handle. Back now, I've got my screwdriver, got that screw that I mentioned earlier. So what we're going to do now is pop that screw in the hole. I've not read the instructions, by the way, because of course I haven't. Just completely winging it and hoping that this is the correct way of doing it. It seems pretty straightforward. I've used a million strimmers before. He says famous last words, and I've seen the picture on the box, so it's only 3 bits to put on. There's this metal bit, there's the guard. The spare cord is not technically needed to be put on right now because it's spare, and the handle and the battery, you know. So this bit appeared on the picture to go sort of here. That looks like it is a guard to stop you. So it can be folded back, but also sort of the length of the cord. So if you're strimming around anything in particular that is delicate, for example, pots, or you know, maybe even neighbours' hedges and etc. That will help keep this cord itself away from any of those things. Next up then, we'll get on with the handle. As you can see, it's actually holding itself upright as well now, so that's kind of quite useful. Handle has a hole on one side for that bolt to go through that we got earlier, and then the hole on the other side, I assume the nut goes through that. So handle will go upwards because we want it towards us. I don't think there's particularly a wrong or right way. There's the same grooves on each side of the handle. I think it's just preference on where you'd want the nut. I'm actually going to spin it round because I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be on the left-hand side of the machine, which means I want any nuts and bits on the opposite side so they're not sticking in my leg when I'm actually using the strimmer, so to say. So I'm just putting the nut through that hole. You see that's just poked out there. To take the nut, put that on, tighten up. Now we can adjust this on the fly when we go outside, but having used strimmers before, I'm actually going to angle it ever so slightly back towards me just to make it a little bit more ergonomic. So yeah, that feels pretty good. It feels pretty decent height as well there. As I say earlier, it's just feels like there's a little bit too much play in that top. I wonder if we'll just try and tighten these screws a little bit. No, they feel pretty tight. It just feels, I mean, it feels solid. It just feels that joint is a little bit wobbly. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. maybe I've just used things before that are exceptionally strong, and who knows. Anyway, next thing that we do have is the Makita strap. So this one should be pretty straightforward as well. Whether I actually use the strap long term or not, we'll see. It's quite well branded, obviously padded as well, pretty good, pretty standard. Red for, you know, warnings, quick release. So you've got the bit that clips on the machine. You've got a little clip there, just makes it a little bit easier and quicker to take it on and off. So that's pretty much everything then. We've got it built. We've got us manuals. I'm actually going to chuck the box in the recycling, because as long as it works, obviously we'll test that in a second. But yeah, I'm ready to go and give it a go. So I just picked up a battery from my drill. Obviously, as any Makita owner, it's only got 2 bars of battery, and I haven't actually charged it in quite a while. I've got 4 batteries and all of them are just as dead. So that's it. Standard sort of process with Makita batteries, just slides on, you press the button in on the end to get it off. Really straightforward. I think that design's been seen a million times over, but these are pretty good. So that's the battery on. Just quickly want to talk about sort of the main reasons why I bought this one then. Obviously one of them being the battery and the fact that I own 4 of them already because of the drills and everything else. 2, because it's electric. I can not have to worry about storing fuel, buying fuel, you know, making sure that, especially with the newer fuels, with the E10s and stuff, that I'm not storing it for too long. And then also it's small and it's light. Some of the petrol machines can tend to be a little bit bigger and heavier, and I wanted something that was a bit more plasticky, and you know, you've seen the garden, it's tiny. So that was sort of my thinking behind it. So, you know, it wasn't a sort of brand loyalty thing. I have no loyalty towards any brands really, but it's just that I had the tools and the tools work quite well, and so I'm hoping that this works quite well as well. And yeah, so far so good. Just need to take that tape off that blade, and then we'll head out and have a go at strimming and get a bit of video of that, and then pop back in and sort of have a chat through exactly what I thought of it and pros and cons. You know what, I'm actually really quite pleased with that. It feels really good quality, and I have no complaints with the power or the actual cutting. You know, seeing that grass around the edge, in particular on the shaded side, was actually particularly long, and I hadn't cut it in some time. The mechanism for more cord coming out was really good, as you heard there at the end when I was tapping it on the sleeper. Came out fine, cut it to length perfectly. Exactly why the little blades there. One thing to mention is, obviously you see me move the guard out of the way. I found that getting close enough to the gravel board was actually really difficult with the guard on. So I'm actually probably going to use mine with the guard back for most of its time. I guess if you're strimming around trees or anything that's sort of really, you don't want to get damaged, or you know, any sort of plastic fencing or anything like that, then probably when it's going to be best used. But anything concrete or the wooden sleepers, for example, as long as it's not old and rotten, I'd probably actually flip that back myself. Now, I'm not actually going to clean it off right now because I'm going to strim a little bit down the street in a second, just out front. But yeah, just pros and cons. It's really light actually, even with the battery on it. It feels really well balanced, you know, like holding it in the middle. I don't feel that it goes either way. It feels good quality, powerful enough for what I need it to do. Probably like a little bit perfect really. I wouldn't say it was overly powerful, but I wouldn't say it's lacking power either. Maybe if you've got a fully charged battery on it, might even provide a little bit more oomph as well. So this was a 2 bar out of 4 and probably is lower towards the 1 as opposed to the actual full 2. But otherwise, no, I genuinely recommend this. This is brilliant. That was my first use, and it's yet to get properly dirty and used over the winter and stuff like that, but that was significantly quicker than the little snippers. I haven't had to tidy up because there's basically nothing. Even the long stuff, it managed to smash up quite well as well. It wasn't very that noisy. You know, in the manual it's got a picture with the headphones on and stuff, and I wore mine because I wear them every day with work anyway. Same with the eye protection. Obviously the only thing we'll mention is I went out in a pair of Crocs. But there's not necessarily anything heavy to drop on my feet, and there's nothing outside that in my own garden that should in theory be dropped on my foot. So but please, if you're using them in obviously in your own situation, make sure you just be vigilant of those things and wearing your PPE. It's there for a reason. But I'm not here to preach. Didn't need to actually adjust it from where I set it up from when we just built it just now. So I'm happy. It feels perfectly well balanced. So if you are interested in one of these, we'll pop an Amazon link in the description below. That will be an affiliate link, so we will earn some commission back if you do purchase one of these. But as I say, genuinely, they're really good. And if you have any questions or any thoughts on these, or you're just unsure, or actually you've been looking at another one because you've got batteries for other brands, for example, or you want a corded version because there is corded versions of these as well, send us a message. You can get in contact obviously on the comments on YouTube. You can go to the website turfdoctor.co.uk, send us a message on there as well. And we'll be happy to provide as much information as we can and point you in the right direction. So overall, yes, this is brilliant. I'm really happy, and I'm actually upset that it's taken so long to get out of the box because I've been wanting to do that for weeks, as you can see, and I've been cutting the middle bit and just leaving the edges because I haven't had time. It's been a case of get out there, get it done, onto the next thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if there's any other bits you want us to review. Obviously, we intend on reviewing multiple other strimmers, but at this time, we've only really got the room to store a couple. What we will do is, if we do have an influx of people wanting to watch and see the reviews, we've considered that we might then give away some of the strimmers that we purchased. So I bought this, for example. We don't get things given to us as gifted, particularly not at this stage. So this is something for me, and I'm probably going to keep for quite a long time because I save the battery and everything else. But if we bought other brands, we might give them away in the future. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.